Hello! Welcome to the 2019 Maryland, D.C. Odyssey of the Mind Judges Training. My name is Betsy. I am the Tournament Director for this year's Odyssey of the Mind. We want to thank everybody for volunteering. I'm sure you already know this, but our entire organization is volunteer. From the Association Director, Joseph Moore, all the way down to the volunteers that come help us move signs and things the day of tournament. What is Odyssey of the Mind? It's a program where teams of students work together to solve original, fun problems. Well, how do they do that? Well, they do it by using their creativity. But how do they present their solutions? They present them in an 8-minute performance. So what should you expect when you show up to tournament? The unexpected. Literally anything can happen. There are 3 scoring components for Odyssey of the Mind. There's the long term. The solution is worth up to 200 points. That's for meeting all of the required elements of the problem. Style is a category within the presentation of the long-term solution, and that is worth up to 50 points. Spontaneous is a problem solution worth up to 100 points. There's verbal, respond to something, tell a story. Hands-on, it's where they build something, manipulate materials. A combination is both of the two combined. It is assigned on the day of the tournament, and it is top secret. So when you get long-term plus style plus your spontaneous, you get the total score, and then the teams are ranked within their individual problems to determine a place. So what are the problems like? Well, there are a variety of long-term problems, and there are spontaneous problems. Teams take weeks or months solving long-term problems. Spontaneous problems, though, are given the day of the tournament. So what's a long-term problem then? Well, the long-term problems have a lot of components in them, and they range from emphasizing technology, like the vehicle and technical problems, problems 1 and 2, to emphasizing the arts, which are problems 3, which is classics, and 5, which is performance. Problem 4 is always a unique balsa structure that is intended to hold weight. Here are this year's problems for 2019. Problem 1, Omer to the rescue again. This is a vehicle problem that includes a performance and a team-built vehicle. The spirit of the problem, which every team must meet to score, is for the team to perform an original performance about an Omer, which is a member of Odyssey of the Mind, or Omer the raccoon, our mascot, and a sidekick character saving the day. The solution will include a team-made Omer mobile vehicle with parts that fit into 1 or 2 suitcases. The parts will be assembled and driven by at least 1 team member riding on it as it travels 3 times to make 3 different rescues. The rescues will be accompanied by different actions taken by the vehicle. The team will disassemble the vehicle and pack the parts into suitcases after one of the rescues has taken place. A hero's parade will be given for the Omermobile vehicle. This is an example of one of the vehicles made in previous years for a different problem. Problem 2, technical, hide in plain sight. This is a technical problem that features a team-made mechanical creature and a performance. The spirit of the problem is for the team to create a performance about an original team-created creature that will change its appearance to hide from a searcher character. The team will build its mechanical creature, which will successfully hide by blending in with its environment 3 times. Each time it hides, the creature will complete a task to make it happen. In the end, the creature will change its appearance a final time to reveal its true self. This is a snapshot of a previous year's performance. Problem 3, classics, Leonardo's workshop. This is a performance problem that includes 3 classic works of art in Leonardo da Vinci's workshop. The spirit of the problem is to create an original performance depicting Leonardo da Vinci and his workshop, where 3 team-made recreations of Leonardo's works appear. The performance will also include a patron character that presents Leonardo with a problem to solve and an original invention that is discarded because it is debunked by a naysayer character. This same invention will be portrayed as something that is commonly used in modern times. There will be a variety of classical elements in Problem 3 depending on the focus of the problem. Problem 4, structure toss. This problem requires the team to build and design a structure made of only balsa wood and glue. The spirit of the problem is for the team to design, build, and test a structure made only of balsa wood with the option of using glue to connect the parts and to test it by placing weights on it. The team will test its structure in a performance where it first uses a device to toss it for score. A carnival barker character will inform the audience of the action that is taking place as other games appear. After the structure has been successfully tossed, the weight placement activity that is incorporated into the performance may begin. While there is a score based on weight placement and how much the structure can hold, keep in mind that some teams won't be able to hold a lot of weight, if any, and some teams will be able to hold a lot of weight, but that doesn't take away from their performance. Here's a previous solution by a team. Problem 5, opposites distract. This is a performance problem depicting a sneaky, distracting character. The spirit of the problem is to create an original humorous performance about a sneaky character that intentionally tries to divide others into opposing groups so it can gain control of something the team decides. The sneaky character will be successful 2 times and will be caught in a 3rd attempt. Different dramatic styles and attention-getting special effects will be used to help present the disputes. Each group has a leader that they follow that discovers they are being manipulated by the sneaky character. The performance will explain why we need to listen and talk to each other instead of relying on outside influences like sneaky characters as a lesson learned. While there could be many different solutions to this, here's an example of what you could see. Spontaneous, the other element of Odyssey of the Mind. This is a problem given to teams to solve in the moment. Teams and judges have not read the problem ahead of time of the tournament date. The problem is read to the teams and they have several minutes to think, then several minutes to solve. Only 5 team members compete in this. There are 3 types of spontaneous problems: verbal, hands-on, and hands-on verbal combo. Each judge scores are subjective and they do not need to match their other judges. Before this, each of you will have been decided and assigned a judging position and problem number. I believe that we have problems 1, which is the vehicle problem, and problem 4, which is the structure problem, judging both those problems, as well as 5, which is the opposites distract, and primary, judging the same problem as they will be in the same room. These are the following judging positions per problem. A staging area judge. Your job is to greet and relax teams. Check paperwork, especially their style forms, to make sure they haven't used their free choice for components already scored. Give teams the chance to fix anything that is wrong or missing. We'll go into more detail on this in a few minutes. A timekeeper announcer. You introduce yourself to the teams, you take paperwork to the judges, and then announce the team to the audience. You keep time and let teams know if their time has expired before they finish. Problem, style, and spontaneous judges. You need to know what to score. Congratulate the team after its performance. Problem and style judges will ask the questions in a warm manner that prompt the team members to talk and even brag about their solution. Use open-ended questions such as, where did you get the idea to make it? Or, whose idea was the script? That way they can give you a good idea of how the team was involved creating things together. The score checker. Make sure the scores are in range and are compiled correctly. In cases where scores are significantly different, alert the head judge. Insert the scores into Excel and then check them again. For things that are objective scoring, something that is completed or not completed. For example, the vehicle travels in reverse, 0 or 10 points. Be very careful to watch whether it says or, meaning one or the other, or 2, meaning somewhere between these 2 points. That means, was it successful? Either yes, the vehicle did travel in reverse, then the team gets the predetermined amount for points listed in that problem, in this case 10. No, it did not, then the team will get 0 points for that. There's no partial score of, well, it traveled a little bit in reverse. No, it only gets scored the one time, and every judge has the same score for these categories. They may be attempted multiple times unless the problem states otherwise, but they will only be given one score for this. For the subjective scoring, it's assessed based on the opinion of the judge. Use the scoring guides as a reference. Scores are generally different from judge to judge. What one person thinks is creative, the other may not. Score for what the team did, not what you think would have been a better idea. Score on a scale, such as 1, 2, 10, looking at the scoring rubric where it says 2. Consider classroom-style scoring. Give teams credit score for their effort as well as the level of the result. There's no penalty if it was not presented. They'll just get a 0 point instead of a penalty. For example, creative use of material in a costume is 1 to 10 points. The team chooses the costume and the material that they wish to be scored. Now, if you were a problem judge, you're going to be looking for and scoring the required elements as are defined in the problem. The requirements are very specific to the problem and can be found in the D scoring section of the problem PDF that you were given. Make sure you read and reread the problem that you were emailed. If you were assigned problem 1, read through the entire problem, etc. Now, this is a scoring piece from primary. This is what their little score sheet would look like. You've got creativity of the overall performance, 1 to 15 points. So that's going to be subjective. But if you go down here, one of the requirements is contains at least 3 team-made items. So that's going to be 0 or 5 points. No 3s, no 2s. Either they did it or they didn't. Here's an example of the scoring sheet. For the hide in plain sight, which is number 2, you'll have the membership name, where they're from, what your name is, and then you'll be judging it, as you can see, the creativity of the overall performance, and then you'll write the score. Another one, the creature, that's one of the required elements. Is it a mechanical creation that is animated? Either it is or isn't. If it has a mechanical creature, but it's not animated, you get the idea. For the style judge, style is the pizzazz of the long-term solution. Style provides teams with the opportunity to showcase their skills and to incorporate their interests into the solutions. Style can be art, music, dance, humor, engineering, costuming, creative writing, creative use of material, on and on. So an example of the style scoring sheet is here. All the store's style categories are scored subjectively. For 1 and 2, those are mandatory style categories as described in the problem. So each team will have those 2. Not this necessarily, it just depends on the problem that you have. For 3 and 4, each team will have a free choice to choose what they would like you to judge on. This is going to be different for every single team. Number 5 is the overall effect of the 4 style elements put together in the performance. So base this on how well, when put together, they enhanced the entire performance. Did it make a difference, or was it just distracting? This is an example of a bad scoring sheet. This is from a team long time ago. So this was an Egyptian problem in classics. So for 1, it was the creation of a character. They decided to have judged Thutmose clothes. They also wanted one of the activities judged, which was Senate's game. That was the required elements. What their free choice was model of a temple, and Omer, and the overall effect of 4. So they were saying, we made Thutmose an Egyptian costume. It was a game they played in Egypt. We made a little temple that looked like our big one, and we dressed Omer to look cool. Now, as you can see, those are really very generic answers. So what a team is going to want to have is something closer to this. So they want you to actually, instead of just judging all of Thutmose, judge the costume of Thutmose, and then have the very detailed guide. The overall appearance of Omer, because in the previous one, you don't know what they want to judge on each. So try to understand what they're asking, and they'll describe as best that they can. Now for Stage Keeper, you're not going to have a score sheet, you're going to have a checklist. This is what your checklist looks like. Identify the coaches and team members and give them a warm greeting. Yep, you did that. Get a cell phone number from the coach. Each team needs 4 copies of the style form. Verify all the categories. So Stage Keeper, I want you to do pretty much the exact same thing that I just showed you. Look at the examples. See, is it a bad style form? If you know your problem, you know what the required elements that they're scoring are. So are they asking for their free choices to be the same ones as already judged, because they can only give a score one time? Also make sure that they have a lot of detail on what they would like to be judged. Give them the opportunity to fix this if you notice it. Be sure not to tell them how to fix it, because that would be outside assistance. Also, they can and should have 4 copies of the list or team list form as stated in B11. If they don't, it is not an automatic penalty or required, but it does help our teams. Team clarifications, that means if they've written in any specific questions, they need to bring it with them. So just yes or no on that. And then you need to be able to give the timekeeper those things. Outside assistance form received. Check if there was outside assistance indicated on that form. The cost form you do need to receive. The cost needs to not exceed $145, so answer that. Every team does need a membership sign, so if they do not have one or it's incorrect, they will receive a penalty, so just mark on those. And then you need to check for items that would damage the floor. They cannot go on if they have any of those. Check for foot coverings. They cannot go on if they're bare feet or have sandals on. And ask team members if they have any questions, and then give the remaining paperwork to the timekeeper. For score room, you will be collecting these score sheets and inputting them into the score program. Double check that all the scores are the same for the objective scores across the other problem judges. Double check that the score is within the parameter, i.e. if the problem says 1 to 10, then no 11s are allowed in that case. If there is a penalty given to the team, every judge must have the same amount penalty. So if one, it's not a cumulative. So if one judge gives it a 5-point penalty and the other judge gives it a 10-point penalty, you need to take it back to the problem captain and ask them what the penalty is across the board. Ask the problem captain if the computer gives you any error or if you have a question. Timekeeper, you will be collecting paperwork from the staging judge and give it to the problem captain. Fill out your checklist and then read the script. Give all the paperwork to the score checker, head judge, and problem judges. Is flash photography allowed? Ask the team if they will allow videotaping. Ask the team if strobe lights will be used. If it is, you must announce that. Ask the team what their signal is so that you can tell the judge so they'll know when they're finished. Ask team members if they have any final questions. Identify the head judge and inform coach about picking up the team scores after they are ready. And then mark if the team has exceeded their time limit. This is something that is the script that you can modify slightly, but this is what you should be reading. You will say, welcome to the Maryland, DC Odyssey of the Mind tournament. This is problem. State your problem and what division it is. This team has worked very hard to be able to present this performance, and therefore we ask you to provide your undivided attention. This includes turning off all cell phones, beepers, or any other electronic devices that may make noise or disrupt the performance. Also, before leaving, be sure to check that you have all your belongings with you and that you've removed any trash that might have been brought to the competition site. In the case of unexpected fire alarms, the exits can be found, and then point out the exit. If an emergency should arrive, please move in an orderly fashion. The team, and then look at your notes and see if they do or do not permit the use of flash photography and videotaping. Add if there's any strobe lights, and then now I'm proud to present the team from, announce where they're from. Then you will say, judges, are you ready? The judges will usually respond with some sort of snarky comment. And then team, are you ready? And then teams will usually each have their own problem specific, ready to blast off if it's a space program or something like that. And once the team has indicated that they're ready, you'll go team begin and get out of the way. Now, while you don't have to do the script word for word, you need to make sure that you're covering all the elements. Use the exact terms from now I am proud downward has to be word for word. But above that, feel free to entertain. You are there to relax the kids, to be the ringmaster. You feel free to be, make sure that before leaving, you make sure you have all your belongings, small children, pet tigers, anything that you think would be funny or levitate the performance. Spontaneous judge. Work with your team to decide who will read the problem. This is your team of judges, not the team that's performing. Decide who will read the problem, who will run to collect the next team, and who is in charge of resetting the problem in between teams. You need to attend general training by webcast for an in-depth look at the various spontaneous problems and how to score them. The general spontaneous training, which you should receive a link from your spontaneous problem captain. Things to remember. Teams worked for four months creating their solutions. For most teams, this 8-minute performance is all the time that they have to show their work. So make it rewarding for them. Most teams will not advance. This is their Odyssey of the Mind experience. You are the face of the program. You might judge 10 or more teams, but remember that each one is different. So keep up your enthusiasm for every team. No matter how much experience you have, no one has ever judged this problem before. They're new every single year. Feel free to discuss the solution with other judges to ensure that you didn't miss anything. Give teams every point that they earn. Always benefit on the side of the children. Use the range when scoring subjective categories. Creativity is diverse. Now let's talk for a minute on the power of positive feedback. Every team has worked really hard and deserves positive feedback. Maybe their props all broke, but they kept going. So we use sticky notes. On this case, write a sticky note or two per team of something that you liked or valued about the performance. It could be a great job on continuing when things didn't go as planned. Maybe their vehicle didn't work, but the driver improvised. Nice work by the driver. Maybe their structure broke before they even got a chance to put weight on it. Their skit didn't make sense after the structure broke. Then you can say great teamwork. Another good one is, very funny skit or compliment a particular prop or a character or how things were written. The point is there's always something nice to say to every team. Each judge should write at least one sticky note per team. For returning teams, they often look forward to the sticky notes as much as, if not more, than their scores. Especially if they don't advance, then they use this as all the praise that they can get from you because they don't necessarily get to show it again. Let's talk about the judges not to do checklist. You don't assess penalties without proof of a violation. Never think that teams couldn't have built or couldn't have done that. However, don't ignore violations because that's unfair to teams that follow the rules. But just don't assume that it's an elementary school team and the weight held on a structure is 800 pounds. Just don't assume, oh, somebody had to do that for them because there's no way a kid could do that. You'd be amazed what kids can do. But if you're sure that they didn't do it because Jimmy says, oh yeah, my dad helped do that, then you want to make sure that you give them a penalty. So what can coaches, parents, and non-team members not do? Well, what they're not allowed to do is build, cut, design, or in any other way complete any part of the problem, even if it's for safety reasons. If they want to use an angle grinder for part of their solution for a prop, then they either need to do it themselves, and if it's not safe, then they should probably find another way to do it. The parents and coaches can't fix hair, put on costumes, or in any other way get the team ready for the performance. They cannot fill out any necessary forms for Division 2 and 3. Division 1, the coaches and parents can help. Talk to the judges at any time when the judges are asking the teams questions. It's just you and the kids, none of these interfering adults. Kids know what's going on. They cannot signal to the team from the audience as the team is completing its performance. So none of these momagers or coaches that are mouthing the script to them. So keep an eye on that and penalize appropriately if it continues to happen. This is all about problems for the kids, all created by the kids and solved by the kids. So more judge not to do checklist. Don't act like a judge. Consider yourself as part of the audience that's allowed to award scores. Don't score the first teams low if they did well. If something you see later is better, give it a higher score. If you've already gave the team the highest possible score, then both teams get that score. Anytime two teams get the same score, whether they both receive a 1, 5, or 10 points, different levels of creativity are equated. Don't worry, it happens. It'll equal out in other ways. But you definitely don't want to penalize the early teams just because you're holding out for later things. Don't challenge teams with your questions. In a friendly manner, calm tone, ask questions in a warm manner that prompt the team members to talk or brag about their solutions. For example, ask, whose idea was this? How did you come up with? Was this your first idea? Don't score harder in the next level of competition. Scores should go up as teams advance, since these tournaments have the teams with the most creative solutions. So what makes a great official? Being punctual! You must be on time for our tournament to run correctly. Understand that for all things to be fair, every judge needs to have score input on every single team. So if you're late, that means that if you weren't there for the first team, you cannot be for the rest of the team. And that could mean that we don't have enough judges. So please be on time. For Score Room, you do not have training aside from this general video. No web training, but you do have in-person morning training the morning of tournament at 7:30 a.m. Spontaneous. You have a web training, which you should have received a link for, as well as morning practice for the problem that you were assigned that day, and that will be at 7:30 a.m. Problem 1 and 4, you are to register in the judges' room by 8 a.m. Problem 2, register in the judges' room also by 8 a.m. Both of your first teams are at 9. Problem 3, register in the judges' room by 7:15 a.m. The first team is at 8 a.m. because we have the most teams competing in Problem 3 this year. Problem 5, or primary, register in the judges' room by 8 a.m. Problem 2 is a little bit typo there. So what makes a great official? What about knowing the rules of the problem you're judging? Yes, but every judge needs to know the rules. Scoring consistently? Score accordingly. That is, score what you saw, not what you expected to see, or maybe what you remember from years past of a team that did better. They're not competing against teams that you may have seen previously. They're competing against teams that you're seeing today. Are you supposed to be finding cheaters? No, that's the wrong approach. Most teams do follow the rules. Most of all, you need to have a great attitude. Smile. Relax the team. We like to wear funny hats. Enjoy watching the performance. Congratulate the teams and have fun. For the judges to-do checklist, read and bring a copy of the problem, the general rules, and all clarifications to the tournament. Smile. Introduce yourself to the judging team. Welcome and help relax the team members for each team. Smile more. Take notes to remember each solution. Congratulate each team for solving the problem. Give every team all the score that they deserve. Consider the entire range when scoring subjective categories, not just sticking to the middle between a 1 to 10. And smile. Adults can be scary for these kids. So what should you expect at tournament? Well, tournament is an all-day event, so please plan on being there from your listed start time until about 30 minutes after the last scores are verified. Although we love for judges to stay for closing ceremonies, I think we're hoping to have everything done at 3. I'll have to look at the schedule. We may be trying to start at 4. We do have a very full day and full competition. We want you to wear comfortable shoes. And as we've already mentioned, funny hats are highly encouraged. We provide you with a t-shirt that must be worn during all times while you're judging. If you get cold easily, please wear a long sleeve shirt that you can wear underneath this t-shirt. We will provide some bagels or muffins or some sort of breakfast snacks and others throughout the day, as well as judges' lunch. But there is no eating or drinking non-water in the classrooms per our agreement with the school. Here is your tournament information. It is March 3rd, Sunday, Oakland Mills High School at 9410 Kilimanjaro Road in Columbia. Our judges' check-in registration starts at 7:15 a.m. You can always contact me, Betsy Scow, at tournament@mdodyssey.org. Let me know anytime anything's coming up or if you have any questions. Our website is www.mdodyssey.org. I want to thank you guys again. Every single person involved in this is a volunteer, and between all of this, hundreds and hundreds of hours, maybe even 1,000 hours, are spent every year to give these kids this opportunity. We couldn't hold this tournament without all of you guys, so really, I appreciate you giving up your time for us. If you have any problem-specific questions, ask your problem captain during the web training. You should have received a link to which webinar you're going to be going to with your problem captain. If you are judging 2 problems, you will need to attend one on Tuesday and the other one on Wednesday. Once again, feel free to email me, and we will see you on March 3rd. Thanks, guys.